Hello everyone and welcome back to the Lords of the Fallen Randomizer with a ton of different bindings. As said last time, this time I am starting with Bloodlust as the main weapon rather than just the Devoted Chopper, since after the boss fight I finally got enough stats to use it. This is a very good weapon, and here I'm kind of just making sure I know the moveset before wandering into potential death, because all of the enemies, this guy's still a little bell guy, however he could be a carrion knight or giant or one of the kin rangers. But yeah, it is a particularly good weapon because it does combination bleed build up, ignite build up, and most relevantly, when you defeat an enemy, you get some health back. Is it a large amount of health? No, but with the increased enemy density binding on, there are a lot of enemies to encounter. And if you've ever had the feeling of, dang, I have too many projects cooking, you're not alone, because I was just like, okay, I should finally actually go back after months and clear the desert map in Fire Emblem, and I forgot that the entirety of Pilgrim's Perch existed and thought I was going to be running through the swamp after I already had, um, thinking that in the voiceovers that I had already defeated. I'm forgetting his name, but he's like the dog version of the Rotten from Dark Souls 2, and as soon as I see his name, that, yeah, too many projects cooking. Thankfully though, one thing that I think is relatively consistent is just that the little guys are still like the randomly spawning enemies, like in Umbral, they don't replace them with let's just say the Crimson Rectors, because those guys, they not always very kind and fun. And there's also been the Bell guys and everyone else, and yeah, there's one of the Crimson Rectors. They are not only do they have a lot of poise and can do a lot of damage, they can heal themselves, which is like the worst thing ever. um, Enemies healing themselves is generally bad news for anybody really. Um, but yeah, well, the having bloodlust and an absurd amount of Sanguinax upgrades from the randomizer and the enhanced banner javelins, like things are going well, and really all I need to do is just keep investing in health and stamina to get more ammo, and then I can heal more with the enhanced banner javelins as well as do more damage. Um, and I may have mentioned it before, but I things that are remembrance weapons, as far as I can tell, are not randomized into this. So, like, there's not a possibility, I don't think, of me running into the corrupted banner javelins early. But because if you watched the last invasion video I did, like, those things are nuts. And they would really kind of maybe not trivialize, but it would certainly help. It would trivialize if I had unlimited ammo access, but I do not have, like I have a good amount of ammo satchels, and especially with the increased enemy density, like there's plenty of stuff dropping, but there is not, it, it's not, um, infinite in supply. Um, and one of the other things that I noticed that is kind of cool about the randomizer is that I think it shuffles like the enemy type, like the Crimson Rectors that were here were previously guys with like the spiked cages on their heads. And there I did not gauge fall damage very well. it uh it happens where every once in a while you're just like, well, behind me is death, ahead of me might be death by the hands of gravity, and I risked gravity and lost. Um, but yeah, Thankfully, things are still going relatively smoothly, and although I have the binding on this as weapons increase with level, the weapons that you, sorry, the weapons you pick up increase in level with your corresponding level. However, I still need to go free Gerda to increase my in held weapons level. However, due to the nature of the randomizer, of the randomized weapon rewards, getting a lot of Duralium fragments is not a problem. What is a problem is getting pushed off the map by a greatsword. But thankfully, I spawn back in and push him off the map. Yeah, that's one of the things. It's like I miss rejection from Elden Ring, like more than anything. Like the like not always, but with how much running around in like Pilgrim's Perch, Fitzroy's Gorge, heck, even in like Calarath, like having just rejection from Elden Ring or like really any of the FromSoft games of just being able to like knock people back without having to go into Umbral and an invasion would be so good. There would be so many gravity kills. I think maybe the Bell Guy sorcery does it, but I'm not sure. Because if that does, I'm going for if in terms of radiant spells, if that allows me to like throw people off ledges, it is going to become my favorite spell of the entire game because gravity is gravity is king in everything. If fall damage exists, gravity wins. Uh, did I? Yeah, I must have picked up my lost vigor or I'm going to, because dang, I have more stat points, and these guys are trying to kill me with poison. Uh, yeah, there is. I just like Pilgrim's Perch, just like the. It's interesting, like coming back into like the two different like areas of it. There's like the upper area of like once you get the thankfully it spawns me back up here. Like once you get the key up by the traditional Bell Guy boss upwards onto Mansa the Hallowed Brothers, like that being a more difficult area, but still being able to like see all of this and do the navigation. I think it makes really good use of the like just the umbral mechanic of just like swapping around between and getting the it makes use of the lamp really well. Um, I forgot how much gravity owned me in this, but with increased enemy density and randomizer, that happens. Thankfully, I gave myself a much closer lantern point. No, I didn't. Oh, oh me. But it is nice though that with Umbral, it it feels like a lot harder to lose your vigor in Lords of the Fallen because of the uh, because you can if you die outside of Umbral, it just throws you into Umbral, and then you can just get out of Umbral, and like it's getting your like extra resurrection back in Sekiro, except that except instead of just like slowly standing up, you just throw everything away from you, which is much more helpful than just hope, letting everything walk away and instantly re-aggro you as soon as you stand back up. The enemies in Sekiro are just like, we see him. It is so comedic that I keep just falling in these same exact spots to these guys. Um, at least I have an idea for the thumbnail now, just falling to my death. Oh man, this is very silly, but I still very much. I'm just laughing at myself going back through not remembering how much I fell. Going, could I edit this out to make myself look better? Probably, but that's not the authentic randomizer experience where the game just kicks your butt. Is if even though it's not a From Software title, a good friend of mine and I always joke Miyazaki has a red button that he can press anytime RNG is involved and just basically immediately kill you. Um, like, I don't know how many of you watch Games Done Quick speedruns, but there was like the all like one of the most common things in like marathon runs is just the statement of I have never seen that before in a run. And I'm remembering like one of the runners just getting stomped by the oh no, it's not the one for God, or the rejected one. It's the giant, I'm gonna say the giant corpse, the one reborn. There we go, the one reborn in Bloodborne. I'm just like getting all of my bosses mixed together today. Them just like getting some really strange cycles from the one reborn and absolutely getting stomped on, in which should have been a very easy, clean fight. Um, and I just get stomped on them normally, even in the predictable cycles, because Bloodborne is no joke. Um, out of all of the Souls-like games, Bloodborne was the one that gave me the most trouble. It is just having to learn how to just manage all of the aggression and combos. Like I know Sekiro is not an easy one for a lot because it feels much more of like a rhythm thing than traditional because of all the deflections. Um, but Bloodborne was the one that threw me for a huge loop out of all of them. Still absolutely loved it, but I think that like after like loving learning to love the franchise, like with the exception of like my first ever Dark Souls 2 run in like high school with Company of Champions accidentally activated because I had no idea what that was. um Bloodborne was the only one that I've ever had to like set down and come back to in like a non-challenge run setting, just because it was just I got frustrated by bosses. At one point it was like Shadows of Yharnam were just giving me trouble. And then I think at one point like I um Garenham just like kicked my butt, and then I just like came back like a couple like a time later, a while later, and then just because I had beaten him, just immediately spawned into like the moon, was able to immediately go after moon presence, and then having beaten them, I'm like, well, that was anticlimactic. Um, Honestly, I think it's just because moon presence was so much easier to hit. I know I'm just chatting about Bloodborne a lot because I'm probably a little bit on the tired side, and I think everything is relatively straightforward with what's going on screen, because every once in a while between bosses, it is just a massive collectathon. Uh, But yeah, Bloodborne was good. Like, Bloodborne put me through it. Um, yeah, still love it. Absolutely the Souls like I struggled with the most. Yeah, and that wasn't even until DLC with Vicar Lawrence. Like Vicar Lawrence gave with just uh, spewing magma from the waist down in Phase 3 just killed me more times than Orphan. Oof. But as is the way with with these ones, everyone has a particular boss that gives them more trouble than another. It's in like with how everything handles differently. Like Dark Souls 2, which I love, can be a very big challenge because of it handles very differently than some of the games in here. Always just sit down and take a nap and get rid of everybody. I don't need 10,000 and a half astral holy projections um, of Crimson Rectors wanting to shove their swords up a variety of locations that I don't want. Where was I going to be? Yeah, everyone has different bosses that they give them trouble, and sometimes in like with how differently Dark Souls 2 handles, it is that one is another common one. That one was always fun to me because like it was one of the games where I would go through and not ever use lock on just like PvE stuff because the it was really fun to just like claw the controller and just strafe so much stuff, and like the walking positioning was so huge. Um, but yeah, and then along in this playthrough, like getting these guys, although I don't think they give you any extra vigor, but they do still give you eyeballs that carry over to other characters. Um, and as you can see, this guy actually got lit on fire. So thank you, Bloodlust, for being an absolutely amazing sword. Because I absolutely need to test out some of the other boss weapons, and that's nice that those items can carry over. And probably once I get some of like the tinks or something from turning over severed hands, those will carry over as well. Um, the Ring of Nourishment, doubling the effect of Bloodlust. I think it's what is it? Ring of the Evil Eye in Dark Souls and Taker's Cameo in Elden Ring. All very incredibly powerful things because more enemies that go down, more health. I can kind of just wade forward and like if there's not the big guys, I can kind of just like wade forward through the mass, keep swinging, and my health just kind of goes back up anyway, which is um, maybe not the most skill intensive thing I have done, but at least understanding it is interesting like how much because I went back to do like one of the like to work on my Radiance character a little bit and move them along and just see how that playthrough is going. It is very different in the enemy density randomizer where you just like when you get something where you know it's like okay this can just carry me through. I just gotta like wander forward because as long as I keep killing stuff I keep healing versus and also just the sheer amount of vigor you get for all of the random enemies is increased, so you can just like pump more health and damage, and you just find random other like weapon like random duralium fragments to just like have further upgraded Yeah, they're like regular duralium nuggets. Like here, you would just only be getting like the small ones. So like it allows you to upgrade your weapon further past where it should be, and very much like in Dark Souls and Elden Ring, I guess the weapon scaling increases with rank. So like the unless you're trying to be able to equip a weapon, really it's health and stamina that are like the primary things to focus on, because the scaling is low enough that it's not going to give you as much the hits you can survive are going to be much more worth it than the 1 or 2 points of damage generally. Now, if you're paying very close attention and you have like every once in a while I've done this where it's like there is the little umbral guys. Like I notice like if I'm like 2 points of damage off from like one or two one or two hitting them, I will, like, that's when that 1 or 2 damage matters. Excuse me. And so do pay attention to it, because there are cases when 1 or 2 damage matters. Generally, I would say it's much better to have the ex to have the extra health early. And like I said, if you know that it is like one or specifically 1 or 2 damage that is preventing you from like causing you to have to take an extra action in order to do that, that's when the those numbers stick out. And like I said, also if you're trying to like equip a particular weapon that has the stat requirements, like before I was able to get the enhanced protection javelins, like when I didn't have enough strength and agility in order to equip those. Like those are the times where you want to. That's when you pump the damage stats, is in order to equip the stuff that facilitates you to do the silly things. And my goodness, these butterfly wasp things are hideous. The grieving, yeah, I think it's they have like dropped like the grief equipment. They and that's like the other interesting thing is like there is enough when you're in Umbral, some of those times like stuff just deals so much random wither damage that you just keep swinging, which is really interesting to know. Like as a different, I know like the motto of this one is just keep swinging until you fall off the ledge and die a few times. However, knowing when to the balance of balancing the wither damage with different types of aggression is it's fun to manage. And there is and the status ailments in this, like I'm glad there's not rot. Like poison is absolutely something. Like the poison is strong, don't get me wrong. Like I don't want to stand around being poisoned, but there's not anything that just like eats all of your healing flasks like Scarlet Rot did in ER, which is nice. And there's also no insta-kill statuses like Terror. I know Frenzy isn't an insta-kill, but it feels like it in Bloodborne, and then Curse and Petrify in the various Souls titles. And I think at this point it's just going to be getting back to doing some menuing back at Skyrest Bridge. I know there wasn't a boss or anything, but I still hope you enjoyed the journey in chat. I hope that you have an amazing day, and yeah, I hope you're enjoying the randomizer journey, and you know, I want to finish up these challenge runs, and I'm going to focus on getting some challenge run backlog finished up because it'll feel good just having them all done. So I hope that you'll enjoy those as they come out. I know I already said it, but do have an amazing day, and I hope to catch you in the next one. See ya.